Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. I'm sure you've just come over from Mark's video. David De Gea might be leaving Manchester United, and yes, I am happy about it, and I'm not going to apologise for being happy about it. I know Mark said it's disrespectful to be happy about De Gea leaving, but why would it be disrespectful to be happy that we're going to improve our football team and improve the way that we play football? So yes, David De Gea looks like he's on his way out of Manchester United, and can I just say, I've seen this come in for quite a long time. As I've said at the start of the season, Erik ten Hag doesn't see David De Gea as his future number one. If he did, then he would have offered him a contract that he was worth signing. There's a reason why David De Gea doesn't want to sign his contract, and it's probably because it's a poor contract that you would offer a number two goalkeeper, which he doesn't want to be. And you know what? One thing I would say is I absolutely respect David De Gea for wanting to leave and wanting to go on and get a better deal and wanting to leave Manchester United. He's done his time. And that is one thing I will say right at the start. Manchester United and David De Gea, there has been some brilliant times. No denying that. There's been some brilliant times for David De Gea and Manchester United. Them times are just over. We need to cut the sentiment. We need to move on, and we need to start getting players in that are good enough to play at this level. And the goalkeeper position is super important. I'm going to be getting into the price tag that apparently we're going to have to pay for a new goalkeeper and how that's going to eat into our budget. I know a lot of people are worried about that. I'm going to be getting into the targets that Manchester United are going after. 3 goalkeepers currently on the agenda for Manchester United, and I'm pretty sure which 3 they are and how this is going to affect our transfer window going forward. And it's not absolutely for definite that David De Gea is going to leave. It's just coming out in recent reports that David De Gea is looking like he is going to leave Manchester United and the contract isn't what he wants. And he's looking to move on because the contract talks have gone bleak is what the Mirror is reporting. But let's see what a lot of you guys are saying. Yeah, everyone talking about Mark maybe sending me a P45. He would never do that. He even wants an Anna now. Low key, Mark wants an Anna. Don't let him say otherwise. Do not let him say otherwise. He does want a Nana. And a lot of you guys obviously kind of a little bit frustrated and maybe thinking that Dean Henderson's going to be the goalkeeper. I doubt that's going to happen. I really highly doubt that's going to happen. I always said it takes David De Gea leaving the football club for Man United to go out and buy a proper number one that's going to come in and demand that position, and he's going to come in and be top quality. Dean Henderson isn't top quality, and there's other goalkeepers that have been linked to that aren't top quality, but there is a couple that are. And yeah, I do feel like I've won. I can't lie. If he does, I mean, it's not there yet, so I don't want to jump the gun too early. He could literally, a report could come out in a few hours. David De Gea has decided to sign at Manchester United. It's not done and dusted. He's not signed a new deal elsewhere. The offer is still there. It just looks like he's going to go. But do I feel right? Yes, but I always knew I was right because I believe in my own opinions and I believe in what I'm saying. And there was no coincidence that, Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Jamie Carragher, and a lot of people that have a really good understanding of football all thought this as well, that it was the end was coming for David De Gea just because he's not at that top modern level yet. I mean, you watch the Champions League final and that's exactly what you see. So anyway, let's get into it. Well, I'll read the reports. I think Mark's already gone through them. But yeah, David De Gea's contract situation at Manchester United has gotten uncertain in recent weeks, compromises on both sides to reach an agreement. And I want to talk about something that I put out yesterday. And the tweet got a little bit of backlash, as predicted, because, Mark loves stirring the pot, and that's absolutely fine. But I wanted to say is David De Gea is available on a free transfer. That is what he's available for. And by the way, I just heard Mark then talking about how it's a disgrace we've let him go on a free. No one is buying David De Gea on 375 grand a week. Not a soul. Not a soul out there is buying David De Gea on 375 grand a week. And what I wanted to say is he's on a free transfer, and David De Gea is on a free transfer, and the only club that we know that has come in for him is Saudi Arabia.
That's respect on its own.
Adam's here in the background. Are you finally hopping on my De Gea bandwagon?
With this, I've always been sensible with it, but that's respect on its own for a player that's been at the club so long to let him go on a free. We've had our worth out of De Gea. Congratulations on your career. Thank you, Dave. It's time to move on. Let's not make a big deal out of it, people. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, people are upset, and you're allowed to be upset. Obviously, David De Gea has been with the club for years, but I would say, honestly, you're going to be very, very happy in a few months when if we get someone else in, and you realise how different we're going to play football and how long it's going to, and how much it's going to affect this team for the better. Like, we actually might have a chance of winning stuff now, and it's not all due to De Gea, but it's a big, big factor. He's a huge factor. It's like, upgrading the midfield from McTominay to Casemiro. Like, how much better did that improve our midfield? And I'm not saying it is that big of a jump. That's how much I think a new goalkeeper is going to affect. It's not the only position on the pitch that needs work, but it's a good start. And I knew Erik ten Hag was going to do this, and it kind of finally is coming through. So on my point that I was talking about before Adam came over, Adam's very happy about this, everyone, by the way. So it's not just me on my own. We're all we're not all, but a few of us are very happy about this. As I was saying before, Saudi Arabia's only, league that have come in for David De Gea. There's been no one from Europe. There's been reports saying he wants an offer from Spain, and that's what he's been waiting for. He wants to go back to Spain. Obviously, we know his wife works there and lives there. If he was the best keeper in the world, as I get told a lot, and he was an unbelievable keeper that we shouldn't get rid of, why is not a single Spanish club come in for David De Gea? Why has no one across Europe come in for David De Gea? They might have done it. It's not been reported, but surely if a decent Spanish club would have gone in for him, he would have signed that deal because he wants to go back to Spain. I'm telling you, there's a reason why that hasn't happened. So I think it's good that we're letting go of him. And I think it's, the start of letting go of people that we probably have been holding on to a little bit too long. David De Gea served his purpose. No one's going to take away the numerous players of the years. No one's going to do that. But he had his time, and now it's time to move on. So the only thing that I am really kind of looking at is what keeper are we going to get in to replace David De Gea? Because as a lot of you guys have said, literally as I say at the start of this stream, is who is it going to be? Is it going to be Dean Henderson? Is it going to be, Jordan Pickford's been thrown into the hat, and that would be not great for me. But there is a lot of options that we could go and get, some really good options as well. So I want to go through them. And we've got a super chat here from King Louis. Congratulations, you have single-handedly made me not want to watch this channel again. Oh, sorry, King Louis. This channel is all about different opinions, and there is people here that do want another goalkeeper, and there's people here that want De Gea to stay. You're allowed to want either or, and you can choose what you watch and what you don't watch. And we've got one from Stephen Ross saying, what if the budget constraints to force Erik ten Hag to use Henderson? You seem to be celebrating very classless. It's not classless upgrading your team. If there's someone in the starting 11 who you don't think is good enough, would you not be happy if we upgraded them? Because that's exactly what this is for me. Like, I'm going to be very happy when we're upgrading a position that needs to be upgraded, and I'm not going to apologise for that because it means that we're getting better as a football club. Man City, reports coming out that Man City are letting go of Cancelo and Kyle Walker this summer. No sentimentality, literally just ruthlessness, because they know they need to step it up, and they know that they're going in different directions. That is exactly what you need to do as a winning club. And, we shouldn't be sat here saying we should only keep David De Gea because we're scared that the club's not going to, we're scared the club's going to keep Dean Henderson in. No, if we need a new goalkeeper and there's someone at the club that isn't good enough, we should get rid of them when we have the opportunity. That's how it should go, in my opinion. Tony says, be careful what you wish for, Beth. We needed a transition period. Remember what happened the last time we replaced a keeper? The United jersey is extremely heavy and the fans won't give them time. Absolutely. And I do think, obviously, the new keeper is going to have to be given time, and he will make mistakes no matter who it is. But there is keepers out there that are capable of coming in and doing this job. Like, it's just facts. The talent is there. It's simple. Like, look at Onana. And I know Mark said he likes Onana. So do I. Onana, what more pressure is there than a Champions League final? And he's playing it out from the back like that and putting in that kind of performance against Manchester City. There is keepers there that are able to come in and take that shirt and do well. We've just got to pick them wisely. And that's why it does come down to going in and investing in a keeper that is definitely good enough to come in and take this jersey on and do it. Onana is risky, says Casper, and depends on the replacement. Ben Casey says Onana or Costa for me. What if we are forced to buy Pickford? Well, honestly, do you know what I don't want to happen? I don't think we will buy Pickford, but the last thing I want to happen is we go in and we get a new keeper, and say if it is someone like Jordan Pickford, which I hope to God it's not, and people say, see, this is why we should never have got rid of David De Gea. It doesn't make a difference whether we get rid of David De Gea or not. He needed to go. He needed to go, and he needed to leave the football club because he's not good enough. Getting Pickford would just be a stupid recruitment move. I would blame the recruitment for not going and getting the right replacement. So that's what I would say there. He needs to go. It's just about replacing him properly. So I talked about the 3 replacements. And the 3 replacements I think that are possible, that are floating around in the news right now, is we have Diogo Costa, we have Onana, and I do think Jordan Pickford is linked to us, sadly. I think Dean Henderson's going to go. I think we'll cash in on the money for him, but we're going to need that money if we look at the budget that we've got, because another thing that everyone's worried about is the budgets, because it's been said that we only have a 120 million budget. What I would say is we're going to make a lot in player sales because we're going to sell players, I hope. That is what we've been told. But also, remember last summer when we got told that we only had 100 million to spend at the start of the window. I had Mark Ogden on the channel, I think it was in July, and we got told there's only 100 million there. And then look at what we spent. And I know there's financial fair play, but we have money to spend. And if that's what I was saying, I think it all depended on David De Gea not signing that contract into forcing them to go in down the keeper route and actually investing heavily in one. So yeah, I'm happy to see where the future goes. I really am with this. And do you know what? Do you know what makes me laugh? Everyone in the comments that is saying, Beth doesn't know what she's talking about. Why would we let David De Gea leave? He should stay. Beth doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. I can't really explain it to you. From the fact is, do you support Manchester United and do you support Eric Ten Hag? Because if David De Gea was good enough to be our goalkeeper, he would have signed a contract and he would still be here because Eric Ten Hag would have given the green flag to go and offer him a very good contract that keeps him at the club. Rashford's going to go out of contract. Do you think they're going to offer him a cut deal that says, Rashford, take it or leave it? We're not, here's a decrease on what you're already earning. No, they're not going to, because Eric Ten Hag loves Rashford and sees him as part of the project, and it would be gutting for him if you lost him. David De Gea is being offered a cut deal that puts him as the number 2, as there's no guarantees he's going to be number 1 goalkeeper. There is a reason for that, and the reason is because Eric Ten Hag doesn't believe he's good enough to be number 1 for the future. That is what it is. So you can think it's me that's doing it, and you can have a go at me, but I'm thinking the same way that Eric Ten Hag's thinking, so you don't agree with him either, if that's what you think. The Inquisition, name dropping decent keepers doesn't mean we're getting them. This is now just another position we need to fill and sacrifice somewhere else. Well, we needed to fill the keeper position. We already knew we needed to fill the keeper position, even if David De Gea stays. We were on the market for a new keeper. So, we always needed to do that because he's not good enough. Walk and Wonder says, Anana's passing was praised by Pep. He kept Inter in that game with his distribution. Big step if we get him. Well, Chelsea look like they're keeping Kepa. So, we could be in for him. Chris Williams is a new member. And Sully Jr. says, I thought Beth was harsh until the West Ham and City game. Thank you for 12 years, but it is time to go. Also, no to Mason Average Mount. I like Mason Mount, but I wouldn't be gutted if we didn't sign him. And Mao UK says, would you sacrifice Sancho to get a top goalie in? Yeah, I probably would. I like Sancho and I want to give him a chance, but with Jadon Sancho, you've got to look at it and think, is he a crucial part of our team? At the moment, no. Is a goalkeeper? Absolutely. So I would do that. Ranier, welcome to the Members Club. Brian, welcome to the Members Club. And have I got any more that I've got on here that I've missed? Let me have a look. Anthony Murray says, Emi Martinez, ? I would be up for getting Emi Martinez. Is he my first choice? No. Is he an upgrade? Absolutely. And that is all the super chats for now, I think. And exactly, the club's just got to move on. We've held on to sentimentality too long, and that's exactly what we need to do. I'm not absolutely slating De Gea. He's been, at one point in David De Gea's career, he was the best goalkeeper in the world. I'm not denying that. I'm absolutely not denying that. But times change and times move on, and we've got to be there. We've got to be able to play the type of football that Eric Ten Hag wants to play. And do you know what, guys? I just, for everyone's allowed an opinion, absolutely. And you guys can want to keep David De Gea. My brother texted me before I went live when he saw the news, and he was like, be careful what you wish for. David De Gea, he's not easy to replace. And so my brother has the opinion that he would have kept David De Gea. I have the opinion that I want him to go. People have different opinions, but you can put them across in a respectful way. And that's exactly what we need to do here. So that's what I'd say on that. And the thing is with him leaving is it does open the door to a new chapter, and it opens the door for us to play the football that Eric Ten Hag wants to play. And that is the main factor. Eric Ten Hag can't do what he wants to do at the moment. When he gets a goalkeeper in that can play out from the back, everything changes. You've got Martinez there that can do it. Shaw can do it. Dallo can do it. We're going to hopefully get in a midfielder that's really good on the ball. We then all of a sudden we play possession-based football. Look at the start of the season against Brentford when Eric Ten Hag tried to do this with David De Gea. It was a disaster, and we've barely gone back to it since. We've gone back to it in certain games, and De Gea's made mistakes. And towards the end of the season, Eric Ten Hag just said, look, kick it long. Every time, kick it long. It's not worth the sacrifice. Do you think that's the way Eric Ten Hag wants to play football next season? Do you think he really wants to play booting it long every single time because he's scared of the opposition being able to press us out of the way we want to play football? This is why he's willing to let him go, in my opinion. It's not just him. Martinez being out at the end of the season wasn't a big effect on us as well. But even Martinez being in the team improved things so much. And it did kind of cover up the cracks of what David De Gea was lacking in that area. Steve Run says, our transfer window is going to be a disaster anyway. Think we will get Pickford, Rabiot, and Højlund. That'll be it. God, that'd be like one of the worst transfer windows we've ever had since Maguire, Dan James, and Wan-Bissaka, I think. Although I do like Wan-Bissaka, but looking back, that transfer window wasn't one of the best, was it? We've got another super chat in from Stephen Ross J saying, if the budget requires United to sacrifice an upgrade in the centre mid, centre back, or striker to get a new goalkeeper, which position do you sacrifice? I've said before, I sacrifice centre back, unfortunately, and I think that's what we're preparing to do. I think that is why Man United and Kim Min-jae, they were like hot, and now it's cold. Now he looks like he's going to Bayern Munich and he's agreed personal terms with them, and it doesn't really look like we're interested, but we've not moved to it at all, and we've not agreed personal terms or anything like that. We've not pursued the player, which you would be doing at this point in time if you were definitely going to go for him in July. I think Kim Min-jae was a player that we wanted to go for, but they've looked back and looked at the positions they need and they thought Mount's going to cost us more than what we thought. Striker's going to cost us more than what we thought. We're going to have to invest in the goalkeeper. The centre-back's going to have to wait. That is what I think. And to be honest with you, I think that's the best way to go, because if you look at the first team of Manchester United and you look at the spine, you've said there, centre-back, centre-mid or a striker. Centre-mid, Eriksen can't go into next season being our only option there. Fred, Eriksen and McTominay, either of them, they just can't go into next season being our only option. So a centre mid is vital. Striker, we don't even really have one. We have Martial, who's injury prone, and Marcus Rashford, who isn't really a striker. So striker's absolutely desperate. And then we have a goalkeeper that looks like he's leaving, plus wasn't good enough anyway in the first team spot. So he's needed. You look at the centre-backs, you've got Varane and Martinez that are both definitely capable of being first-team players for Man United and are brilliant. Yes, Varane is injury prone, but I thought Lindelof was excellent towards the end of last season. I wouldn't begrudge going into next season with, Shaw, Martinez, Lindelof and Varane being our centre-back options, because you've got Malacia as well, who can always move into left-back, who I think is decent. So that's why, as a long-winded answer, I would sacrifice a centre-back, unfortunately, because we do need one. We absolutely do need one. But that's what I would do, because I think it's important that we have to get a new goalkeeper if De Gea leaves. There's no choice about it. We can't go into next season without getting one. Unless they just keep with Dean Henderson, which I doubt very much that they're going to do. I think Dean Henderson will go. I really do. Aidan Nadu says Henderson ball next season again at Payne. Do you know what it is as well? What you guys aren't going to like, but I say what I think, and I don't ever shy away from that. I think Henderson would be better than De Gea anyway. That's my opinion. He's got different attributes to his game. Obviously De Gea's had a better career and he has been much better than Dean Henderson in the past. But for the way Erik ten Hag wants to play, I think Henderson, if he was available now and Ten Hag had the choice between the two, I think Henderson would have potentially been in there over David De Gea. I've got to admit. But I know quite a few people think that. I think he's a better goalkeeper for us now and the way we want to play, because it's, obviously you've got to keep the ball at the back of the net. And David De Gea is brilliant at that, but it's everything else. It's attacking, the way you play in possession, inviting the pressure onto you, collecting crosses, in the finals, mistakes in a game. Ederson making that high claim against Inter Milan to relieve the pressure off City in the Champions League final. If that was David De Gea, he probably tumbles around in the box and, he doesn't get hold of it and who knows what happens. So these are really important little niches for a keeper that really do add up over the course of a season. Brandon Reisner says, I feel like we're going to get highballed in transfers until we get new owners. They have to change the atmosphere, both buying and selling. The ownership situation is a big problem and that needs to get over the line. But apparently we're still going to have the same budget for the summer. So we'll have to wait and see. You guys are absolutely loving my Henderson shout over De Gea, aren't you? I stick by it. Henderson for me would be in the team over David De Gea. It's not disrespect, it's just my opinion. Chris Williams says, we need to keep David. He won the Golden Glove and yet he's not good enough. Perhaps not for the style, but for pure shot stopping, he's still up there. Winning the Golden Glove is a great achievement. But, it's not just him. Our defence was brilliant this season and that was a big factor in the Golden Glove. David De Gea did very well at different points in the season, but the big factor of winning the Golden Glove was part of the defence. Has anybody entered David De Gea in goalkeeper of the season, team of the season contention? No. Because even though he won Golden Glove, as an overall goalkeeper, he's not been at the top level. And I would say again, he's on a free. If he was really that good, there'd be teams in Spain fighting over him, trying to go and get him. There'd be teams in Europe trying to go and get him. but they've not. I mean, he'd be called up to the Spanish international team. He doesn't play for Spain. Like, he isn't in the Spanish team. David Raya, even Robert Sanchez, who was second keeper for Brighton, was in over David De Gea. So are people just, do people just, is there something against David De Gea that people just don't like? Or is it because he's not really that top keeper that people do think he is? Because he does make some world-class saves that are world-class, but it's about the whole thing on that. God, I can't believe I've already been going for 20 minutes on this. And Oki Red says it would have been nice to not have to get a keeper for another year. What a dismal transfer window, watching all of our targets go elsewhere. And you know what, guys? You're going to have a big shock next year when we get a new keeper in and we play so much better. I'm actually excited for you because, if you don't see it coming, then you're going to be so, you're going to be so excited next year when we start actually playing possession-based football that could have, that can help our team play better football. Like, you've got a big surprise waiting for you. So I'm excited for you. If you can't see how this is going to change the way we play football, I'm really excited for you because it's really going to, open your eyes, and you're going to be really excited when we get a new keeper in. You finally see how it happens. I mean, if you watched the Champions League final, surely you can understand why we need a keeper that is able to do the things that a keeper in the modern game can do. Is able to be dominant, is able to come off his line, is able to pick out passes, is able to come and collect crosses, is able to sweep. Like, how much pressure it relieves off your team. Like, surely you would understand that. But anyway, let's get into the options just to finish off this show. And the options are Costa, Onana, and Jordan Pickford. First of all, Jordan Pickford isn't in the equation for me. He really isn't. But Onana and Costa, both very good options. I'm going to be straight up honest here. I know Mark's, it's not just that I like disagreeing with Mark. I remember there was a time on this channel where everyone used to say, when I first came on, Beth only agrees with what Mark says. All she does is agree with what Mark says. I definitely don't, as we've seen over the course of these few months. We do agree on a lot of things. Like, I absolutely love Bruno. He loves Bruno. But there's things that we disagree on. He wants Onana. I would be over the moon with Onana. I think he'd be brilliant. But he said he'd want Onana over Costa. That isn't my thing. I really do want Diogo Costa. He is brilliant for Porto. Absolutely brilliant. He didn't have the best World Cup, which has kind of skewed people's thoughts a little bit, but he's 23 years old. Onana's 27, which is still young as a goalkeeper. Onana is obviously more experienced, and he is brilliant. And with his feet, he's exceptional. But Diogo Costa at 23 years old, his ceiling is just like, it's crazy. It's through the roof. He's going to be like a generational goalkeeper. He's going to be in the conversations with the best goalkeeper in the world. I can honestly see that through watching him and looking at, the way he plays and just looking at everything about him. Onana is great. Costa, if you want to get someone in generational for multiple years, he's the way to go. His passing is excellent. His shot stopping is superb. His coming out to claim crosses is excellent. His sweeping ability is great. He's got everything, and he's 23. And he's got that Portuguese connection as well, which I think it's not a factor at all, really, but it's just something to add. And Robert McCormack says the football has been awful this season. Best right. Robert, appreciate the super chat. Thank you for agreeing with me. I know we disagree on a few things, but whenever you agree or disagree, you say it in a respectful way, and you are right. I have to agree with you. Jesus Christ says Beth Costa is the reason Portugal got knocked out of the World Cup, and Anna all the way. So you can never move. Right. First of all, I don't think he was the sole reason that he didn't have a good World Cup. I completely admit that. But he's 23 years old. Like, that doesn't define his whole career. Harry Kane missed a penalty for England to knock us out of the World Cup. Does that mean Harry Kane's not a world-class striker? Of course he is. Harry Kane's one of the best strikers in the world. These moments don't particularly define a player forever, unless they keep happening over a course of time. Anton says, Beth, you realise that ball possession does not in any way convert chances to goals? Yes, it does, because you have more of the ball. Therefore, it's more likelihood that you're going to create chances. This is why City suffocate you. I'm not saying we're going to be able to play like City straight away, because that takes years, and you've got to be able to do it all over the pitch. We need to improve the midfield. We definitely need to improve the attack when it comes to this. But being able to play possession-based football, for one, it means you get more chances, because you've got the ball more, so it's more likely than not you're going to be, creating more chances through the pure fact you've got possession. And secondly, it stops the opposition coming onto you and constantly coming onto you and you basically having chances against you. So it works both ways, because if you've got the ball, the opposition are trying to get it back off you. They can't be up the other end trying to shoot against you, because there's only one team that can do it. So that's why it's super, super important, in my opinion, on that. And Danny McGuinness says, I believe it's the right time for Dave to go, but I'll at least respect others' opinions that don't, rather than telling them why they're wrong. There's pros and cons to the situation, i.e. summer transfers. I'm just saying it why I think that we need one. People can have different opinions, of course they can, but I'm saying what my opinion is, which is what I'm doing. But I understand the worry about the budget, but what I'm trying to do is kind of reassure you that I don't think it will be a be all and end all, and I think it is for the greater good eventually. And Cass Superstar says, Beth, out of everyone in the United Stand speaks sense. Don't know if the chat will agree with you, but I appreciate the comment nonetheless, so thank you for that one. Everyone, make sure you hit a like on the video as well while you're here. Thank you for joining me, and thank you, for being here. I think it's obviously some people are going to be sad, and I completely respect that. De Gea has been a goalkeeper for so many years, and there was a time is my time as a United fan where I absolutely loved De Gea, and he was one of my favourite players. Believe it or not, everyone, there was a time that was the case, so I completely understand it. But you've also got to put into perspective, we need to be ruthless, and we need to stop having this sentimentality, and we need to move on. And I also want to say as well, people are texting me saying congrats. This City fan who we have him on the United Stand. He's from City Extra. Has always said to me, the reason you'll never be at the top level, one of the reasons, is because you have David De Gea. And he's just sent me congrats, and maybe now I can be worried. So when other opposition fans are saying it as well, you've got no opposition fan takes David De Gea in their team, guys. None of them do ever. There's a lot to be said about that as well. There's a lot to be said about that. Honestly, I'm just waiting for the message to come through from Mark, if I'm being honest. I feel like anytime now I'm going to see a P45, I'm going to say, thanks for all of your work, Beth, but you're off. Sorry. Classless. That tweet was classless, and you need to be really sad about this, even though it's going to improve the team. So I'm just waiting to see that P45 come through, but we'll see. Anyway, let's round up the video here. What I do want to say is, if it is Dean Henderson, it is an improvement, but obviously it's not what I want. Diogo Costa is the player. I actually, to be honest, no one's going to believe me on this, but a journalist did message me, and he's actually quite a good journalist, and said that Diogo Costa and Manchester United they've been monitoring. Well, everyone knows this anyway. They've been monitoring him for a very long time, and they're very, very keen on getting him in. So Diogo Costa could be an option. I actually think we can get him out of Porto for around 60 million max. And people talk about the price for a keeper. Yes, absolutely. It is a heavy price. But we paid 90 for Anthony. It's a keeper that's going to be in the team for years to come, and there's only one player that can play that position. It's absolutely worth the investment, 100%. Look at what Liverpool did with Alisson. They invested massively on him, and they have absolutely zero regrets, because he's one of the best keepers in the world. So that's exactly what we need to do. Onana, I'd be very, very happy with. Chelsea are actually going to keep Kepa, according to reports. Pochettino wants to keep him, so don't know where that decision's come from, but I wish them luck with that, because I don't rate Kepa really. So Onana could be on the market as well. Apparently he's around 50 million. Again, a great keeper to get in. But when you look at the price differences and the ceiling, I think Costa is the one to go for. Again, as I would say, this isn't confirmation that David De Gea is leaving the club. It just is looking more likely that he isn't going to sign his contract. I think there's 2 weeks left on it. 30th of June is when it runs out. We'll know then, won't we? If he hasn't signed by then he definitely is going, and I'm sure more news will start to trickle out on this. Robert Lund says, would you take a player like Bastoni at Manchester United? Yes, I would. And we have Cash saying, would you take Onana and bring in Kovar as backup to learn from him? I do think Kovar is a very promising young keeper, but, he's going to learn from him in training, but I don't think it's time for him to get game time yet. But I would definitely take Onana. And anyway, lastly, to round the show up, if David De Gea was right for our future, he would have been signed up a long time ago. I wish him well. He might still stay at the club, but if he leaves, I wish him well. I think he's been a great servant to the club, and I do think he's had some brilliant moments at Manchester United. I mean, he's won a Premier League, he's won an FA Cup, he's won a Carabao Cup. He won the Europa League, even though it was Romero that was in goal that year, and he was in goal for the final when we won it. But he has been a great servant, and he has had some good times. But we need to move on. we definitely need to move on. And I think getting a new keeper in is just the start of this Erik ten Hag transition era. I will tell you, remember when Pep Guardiola got rid of Joe Hart and everyone was honestly couldn't believe it. The papers, it was all over the papers. No one could believe it. But he had his philosophy of the way he wanted to play football. And look at what's happened now. Yeah, they got Bravo in who wasn't good enough, but then they went and got Edison. He still stuck with his philosophy, even though people were like clowning it and saying, you know, why has he got rid of Joe Hart for Bravo? He stuck with his philosophy. They got in Edison eventually, and it completely makes the way that they play football. So that is what I wanted to kind of end this with, and look at the Champions League as well. That's what the level we should be aiming for, and we need players there to do this. Transfer window, I still expect us to get Mason Mount. I still expect us to get a good striker in, and I expect us to get a top goalkeeper. Even if we sign 3 players, a top goalkeeper, a top midfielder, and a top striker, 3 players with player sales, that is good for me. I don't think we need to go. There's a lot of positions that need to fill, and of course we need to fill them positions, but not everything can be done in one summer. And the spine of the team is super, super, super important. So I am excited, and I think I wouldn't worry about the money on the transfer window. I really wouldn't. We're still going to invest. Mason Mount's going to happen, I think. We have to get a striker. It's physically impossible that we go into next summer without getting a striker. And if David De Gea leaves, we have to get a goalkeeper, so it will happen. Lastly, finish up on the last couple of super chats. Julian says, which foreign player will you be targeting now? Oh my gosh, I hate them chats. I hate them so much. Bruno Fernandes is my favourite player at Manchester United, and he's from Portugal. He's not English. It's not about him being from Spain. It's really not. It's not about him being from Spain at all. I loved Ander Herrera. I loved Juan Mata. These were players that were from Spain. It's not about that. And I shouldn't even have to say that on here. It's about who is a good footballer and who I rate as a football player. Debanjik Sen says, Beth, can we make any negotiations with the player before the takeover? Yeah, I'm assuming we can, considering it's been all over the newspaper that the budget stays the same and we're going to still go about our transfer business. But that is it, everyone. I've been waiting for this for a very long time, and hopefully we can put this era behind us next season. I can thank David De Gea for everything that he's done, and we move on with a goalkeeper that is capable of winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues with Man United under the new Erik ten Hag project. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for the comments as well, good or bad. You know what, it creates debate, and that's exactly what we like here on the United Stand. Make sure you hit a like on the video on the way out, and everyone who sends the positive comments in regarding letting me know I'm not alone on this opinion, I very much appreciate it. And I know I'm not, because, you know, I speak to a lot of different people, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But thank you for watching, everyone. Mark has just sent me the email through. Oh, he wants to have a meeting with me, everyone. He wants to have a meeting with me. Who knows what this is going to be about? So I'll see you on the next one, everyone, and have a good rest of your day. Hopefully we hear more updates soon.